Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to another top 10 new San Martins list. San Martin are undoubtedly the most prolific AliExpress brand. They pump out new models so fast that if I want to have any chance of staying on top of that output, I've got to make top 10 videos like this one. And this one is quite deliberately timed to coincide with the biggest sale of the year, the 11/11 Singles Day sale. So if you have been saving your pennies, now is the time to spend your pennies. The sale starts in a few days, but AliExpress allows you to place items in your cart, lock in the sale prices, and then come back and check out when the sale begins. Now you saw the pop-up? This video is sponsored by the San Martin official store on AliExpress. You can buy these watches elsewhere, but I'm not sure why you would. I'll leave links to all 10 watches plus a bonus 11th watch in the order that I show them in the description of the video, and I'll also give you your target price on these based on prices that I've seen in previous sales. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on today's list with watches ranging from under 100 to just over 300. Plenty of dive watches, field watches, chronographs, a couple of GMTs, including a watch that is undoubtedly the most expensive looking watch that San Martin have made so far. So let's get on with it. In fact, let's start with that one. I've said it before, San Martin are the best made watches you can buy for $300 US. The standard of finishing is just amazing compared to anything else. And the standard of finishing on this watch is phenomenal for the money. And this watch is what they call the SN0129. This thing is amazing looking for the price. The finish on the bezel, the finish on the case, the bracelet links, the dial, all of them just outstanding considering what they want for one of these. Your target price on this one during the sale is less than $260 US. And just look at it, does that look like a sub $300 US watch? I just don't think so. This one is 39mm in diameter, 20mm lug width with a compact 46.5mm lug to lug. All 316L stainless steel, of course, and it's powered by Seiko's NH34 4-hand GMT movement. There's plenty of BGW9 Superluminova on the dial and the hands to keep things legible after dark. This one comes with a choice of two dials, the one I've got that has the vertical brush metallic finish, but if you want a little bit of something extra, they even do one with a wave dial. I've talked about dials being the next frontier of AliExpress watches as the brands begin to experiment, and it looks like San Martin have started that experiment. It looks and feels great on wrist. It has on-the-fly adjustable clasp, screw-link bracelet, and sapphire crystal, of course. I honestly can't think of anything else this good for this money if you want a GMT in this slightly more elaborate dressy style. Right, Jody, where do you go from there? Well, you go to the cheapest watch on today's list. Coming in at under $100, it's the SN0105. This is a really simple cross between a mid-century Dirty Dozen style field watch and a Type A Flieger. It has 100 meters of water resistance, it's nice and lightweight, it has bi-coloured loom using both C3 and BGW9, and it has a really interesting movement. That's actually a Seiko VK31 quartz movement, but it ticks 4 times per second rather than once per second, so it looks like an auto. But it's accurate, reliable, and rugged like a quartz, and you don't have to set the time every time you use the watch. Your target price on this one, cheapest watch on the list today, under $75 US during the sale. Now, it's a smaller watch. It's 36mm in diameter with 18mm lug width. Think Seagull 1963 for a rough size comparison, and you don't get sapphire for that price. You only get K1 mineral crystal with anti-reflective undercoating. But it's a good looking little watch, and that movement, I'm sure, will find it a few fans. Moving on to the style of watch that San Martin is famous for, the look-alike. And this one definitely looks like a Tudor, but with a couple of twists of its own. They call it the SN0128, and you can get it either with a red bezel and gold hands like I have, or there's a black and white version if you want something a little plainer. Now, normally these are $260. Your target price during the sale is $50 off that, $210. NH35 power, 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating, BGW9 Superluminova on the fly adjustable clasp, and a Jubilee bracelet, which is something that even Tudor themselves don't offer on their divers. Now, I like a Jubilee so much so that I bought an aftermarket Jubilee for my by Tudor, so maybe they're missing a trick here. This one is bigger though. It has a lug-to-lug of just under 50mm, so make sure that's okay with your wrist before you order one of these. We're back to the 70s for this one, folks, and we're back under $150 US. It's a cushion case diver on a NATO that they catchily call the SN0123. There are a couple of features that set this one apart though. The case is bead blasted rather than brushed or polished, the crystal is domed rather than flat, and it's domed to match the ceramic bezel insert. The whole watch has a really nice curve to the profile. But rather than using a traditional dive time bezel, they've switched it up again by using a 12-hour bezel instead. Now, you can of course still use this one for diving though, it's graded round to 20 minutes, but the bezel means you can track a second time zone if you want to by using the markers on the dial for your home time zone and the markers on the bezel for that second time zone. This one also has a lug-to-lug approaching 50mm, and do remember that a NATO strap adds extra thickness to what was already a fairly thick watch at 14.4mm. These are normally $170, but during the sale you can pick one up for under $130, making it one of the cheapest watches on today's list. At number 5, it's time for a chronograph, the watch on my wrist today, and I'm sure a watch that will look rather familiar to many of you. San Martin calls it the SN0120, but you've probably seen it with the Baltany brand name on the dial instead. I'm not sure what's going on here, whether San Martin have always made the watch for Baltany and have now decided to make it for themselves or what, I just don't know. But I guess it now comes down to brand preference. Do you see more value in the San Martin name than you do in the Baltany name? If so, buy accordingly. It's a fantastic little watch regardless of what's printed on the dial though. It's easy to read, it's really versatile for a chrono because it has screw down crown, screw down pushers and 100 meters of water resistance. Sapphire crystal, of course, good lume, and Seiko's ultra reliable VK61 Mecha Quartz chronograph movement. Now these are normally $150, but during the sale you can find them for less than $105. That is over 30% off. As I said, it then just comes down to brand preference. Okay, at number 6 is a new updated version of one of San Martin's very best watches. It's the SN036 and it's now in a range of different colours. There's one with a green fade dial, one with a blue fade dial and one with a brown fade dial. But I remain unconvinced that the bezel really matches the dial on the brown one. I do, however, like the look of the other two. Normal price on these is around $260, but during the sale it's just over $200. I think this is one of the best watches you can buy for $200 at the moment. This one is 42.5mm in diameter with a 48.5mm lug-to-lug, stainless and sapphire, on the fly adjust, all the usual good stuff, and 300 meters of water resistance, so definitely one to consider if you're actually planning to get your dive watch wet, because I hear some strange people out there actually use their dive watches for diving. Now I compared the original version of this watch to an Orient Komatsu and it pretty much wiped the floor with the Orient in all categories other than brand. I guess if you're watching this video then you see enough value in San Martin as a brand already, in which case something like this offers so much more than the equivalently priced Japanese big brand watch. Case and bracelet finishing on this model are particularly nice, lovely smooth edges to the bracelet links and beautiful integration between the domed sapphire and the ceramic bezel insert. These are normally around $260, so you're getting 10% off that during a sale, which is well worthwhile. And now for something completely different, as Monty Python used to say. What about a watch that combines grade 2 titanium with CU SN8 marine grade bronze? This is no lookalike because nobody else is doing this. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to you to decide, but you've got to give them some credit for that. This one is the SN0125. It's a relative big boy at 42mm in diameter, but with a 51.8mm lug-to-lug. It's very much in the Panerai style, this one. It's got that squared off cushion case synonymous with the Swiss-Italian brand. How much then for all this uniqueness? Well, during the sale, just under $205 will snag you one of these. It only comes in a rubber strap, which keeps the weight down. It's also NH35 powered, which keeps the price down. Personally though, I think they could have beefed up the hands a bit. It's a big chunky watch and I think it needs slightly chunkier hands to do that justice. But yeah, if you want to be the only kid on your block with a watch made of half titanium and half bronze, then this is your choice, because as far as I know, it's the only watch of its kind in existence today. Alright, we're back in the look-alike zone for number 8. This watch has very similar looks to early Tudor Submariners, and given how much those watches have gone up in price over the last 10 years, that's not a bad look to have. This is the brand new for 2023 SN0111. Now there is a pretty healthy discount on this one during the sale. They're normally $240, but you can buy one today for $185. As always, you get a chunk of watch for that. The ubiquitous Seiko NH35, sapphire crystal ceramic bezel insert, 300 meters of water resistance, ice blue BGW9 Superluminova, on the fly clasp, screw link bracelet, etc, etc. Two versions are available, one with Mercedes hands like the Tudor reference 73090, and one with sword hands as a point of difference. They both cost the same money. And both wear really nicely because of a lug-to-lug of just over 47 and a thickness of just over 13mm. Definitely not the most original looking design on the list today, but for some people, exactly what they want at a price they can afford. Talking of attainable lookalikes of unobtainable watches, watch number 9 has more than a whiff of Patek Philippe about it. In fact, it positively reeks of Patek. It's the SN0075, and when it grows up, it wants to be a Nautilus. But unlike a Nautilus, you can actually buy one. And you can buy one for only $300 during the sale. It's the second but not the last GMT on today's list. Unlike the other two Seiko powered watches, this one is powered by the Hangzhou 6460. That is a high beat GMT, so 28,800 vibrations per hour, 8 ticks per second rather than 6. It's a clone of the ETA 2893. I've run these in other San Martins in the past and they have run very well indeed. This one is available in 3 colours, the ever popular teal blue, as well as a darker blue and a dark green. Integrated bracelet or fitted sports style rubber straps are both available. If you go for the rubber, you should be getting it for about $20 less. It's one of the bigger watches today at 43mm in diameter. 100 meters of water resistance is plenty for a sports watch, sapphire crystal of course, and a butterfly clasp if you opt for the one on the bracelet. It's a really nice dial on this one. I do like all of those horizontal facets, and it's nicely proportioned with large pill-shaped indices mimicking the hour and the minute hand. It's a fairly discreet GMT hand pointing to markers halfway across the dial. Now, most of us will never own a Patek, but most of us can own something that looks quite similar without going broke in the process. Alright, number 10. I was really keen to have a look at this one because I don't think I've seen anything else quite like it. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm sure you'll let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's the SN066, and it's a compressor style dive watch with an inner rotating bezel operated by a second crown. Now, this one is powered by the Epson YN55. If you're not familiar with that movement, it's an Orient movement. It's the same movement that powers the aforementioned Orient Kamasu. It's pretty much on the same level as the Seiko NH35 if you need a second reference point. Now, your target price on this one is $225 during the sale. And of course, for that money, you get sapphire crystal, plenty of water resistance, good loom, 316L construction, on the fly clasp, and so on. But it's the looks that stand out here. It's a very unusual beveled case, all brush finish, big numerals on the dial, date down at 6, which is always really nice to see on any watch. It is, however, a slightly unusual bracelet choice. Those center links are high polish, whereas there is no high polish on the head of the watch. Normally you would go one way or the other. You wouldn't mix and match, certainly not in this particular direction, but it does wear surprisingly well for a 42mm diameter watch. Alright, I said there was a bonus, I said there was a spinal tap, 11 out of 10. And here it is. It's another GMT, so we have GMTs bookending the list today. I think San Martin's GMTs are their strongest offerings currently. This one is a limited edition SN0116. It's an original design and an amazing original colour palette of various shades of green and yellow. When I reviewed the regular SN0116, I said it was my favourite San Martin. Beautiful finish, great attention to detail, and under $300. San Martin have taken that watch but added more to it in terms of colour. They put on a fancy case back, plus you get a colour matched bonus NATO strap as a gift. They aren't really offering much of a discount on these because they are limited to 100 pieces. 320 should put one on your wrist. I still think that's very fair for a watch as colourful and fun as this one. It's great to see a brand that started off doing only lookalikes of the big Swiss brands now really pushing the boundaries in terms of their own designs and the colour palettes that they apply to their own designs. So there you have it, another top 10 San Martins list. What did you fancy, if anything? I really like that bonus GMT. I might end up keeping that one rather than my old one. It is so much fun, and considering they're only making less than 100 pieces, they're not taking the mickey at all with the price. Apart from that, the 036 is lovely, especially in the blue and green fade dials, and I am partial to the occasional snowflake hand and Jubilee bracelet myself. If you pick up one of these during the sale, happy shopping. If you're watching this video when the sale has ended, come back in 2 weeks' time, there'll probably be another sale on. Well done for making it all the way to the end of the video. You are clearly a fan of the brand. You should clearly then watch another top 10 list here or here. I'll see you again in the next one.